right, we're ready to go. I think we're live now. It takes a few seconds to show. Let me know if you're getting any audio. Are you getting any audio? Anyone in?
I'm getting a stream now. Yeah.
All right. All right, I think we're live.
Hey,
Okay.
everybody.
Hi. Let me reduce your volume for myself because there's less echo. Oh, hi. Okay, good. Hi, Mark. Bahar. Oh, hi, Bahar. Are you Persian? Infidel. Hey, guys. All right. So, greetings. Which one of you is the anti? I'm the anti. We're both atheists. Hi, Beach. Oh, that's Beach. We're both atheists. I'm the anti-theist, and Adam here is the Christian apologist.
I try. You should tell them the suggestion that I gave for the stream title.
All right. Okay. No, you tell them.
It was anti-theist. Armin destroys Christian apologists. Adam friended. So
Well,
I'm definitely self-aware. You can't say that I'm not a self-aware individual.
okay. Once after I destroy you, then I'll go back and I wasn't just sure how sure I was if I'm gonna be able to destroy you, but once I do destroy you, then I'll go retitle and change the title. I just
You have my full consent.
I don't mind clickbaits as long as they're honest clickbaits. Oh,
Yeah.
Benjamin Ahura Mazda greets you. Wow. Okay. Beach. Okay. So, all right. Sounds good. So let us know why are you okay? First of all, just to get it clear, you're an atheist yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And you have been watching. You follow a lot of the debates on your channel. Tell us a little bit about your channel. You follow the Pangburn events. You have reviewed the debate between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. And I think you're mostly on Jordan Peterson's side, and you go after many atheists that are anti-theist, and you think that they don't have that much of a you question their reasonings. You think that this is just something they go based. I've seen you criticize a lot of people that are specifically are against Jordan Peterson, and what do you think they're getting wrong?
I think that I think that Brett Weinstein is correct with his assumption about metaphorical truth. And it's an open question whether or not we can keep this psychology that just allows us to believe in these things that are factually incorrect, but believing in them results in a higher well-being society wide. I think that the anti-theists, they have a presupposition in their ethical system where they're trying to elevate factual truth. They're trying to elevate scientific truth as the highest moral value and at the same time elevate human well-being to the highest moral value. And I think that those two values are a little bit reversely correlated in the same way that you might say security and freedom are a bit inversely correlated. It's not a perfect correlation, but generally speaking, when you maximize security, you have less freedom. And when you maximize freedom, you have less security. I mean, you understand the freedom versus security debate,
Yes,
I'm
yes, yes,
assuming.
yeah.
So a lot of people don't have a moral dog in that fight. So it's easier to look at that fight. Well, obviously there is some of that because there are some people who would like to have a lot more freedom and there were some people who would like to have a lot more security. But I think that the well-being versus scientific truth is a little analogous to that same argument. So I think people who adopt these religious systems tend to be happier, healthier people. And the people like us who are non-believers tend to be less happy, healthy, overall. I mean, Sam Harris is a unique case, but we have to admit Sam Harris is like wealthy, right? I mean, he has a lot of existential security, is what they would call it. So it makes religion, the cost of religious belief, higher for him.
Okay, so what is this based on? The fact that you're saying that really people without religious belief are less healthy, less because I've been seeing research that suggests that either the otherwise or suggesting that there's not that much of a difference between health and happiness of atheists compared to people with religious belief system.
It depends upon where you are, really. I think what people are generally after is existential security. So people are after they need meaning in their lives and they want existential security in their lives. And existential security can be covered by other institutions. So a lot of atheists want to refer to the Nordic states and say these places are very atheistic.
Right.
There's some debate over how atheistic they really are, but let's just set that aside for a second, and I'll grant you that these places are the atheist utopia everyone claims they are. The reason why they are more atheistic has to do with the fact that they have other secular institutions that have come in to take over, to provide existential security to the people who would be seeking that existential security through religious institutions had they not had access to these secular institutions. So it's very difficult for me to say like they atheists tend to want to make a correlation between the religious institutions being bad and causing this like causing strife within society. But I'm more inclined to believe that if you have strong secular institutions, religion kind of wanes rather than religion being the cause of those things.
But doesn't that refute your own point? Like, so the point is not that we don't need any institutions. The point is that we can religion offers us things that we need with a baggage. With it comes with some toxic mix of harmful material. What we're suggesting is that we can get these things through other institutions other than religion. We're not suggesting that there's nothing there. Obviously, there's something there. Why else would these things be so popular? Why else would these memes spread so far and wide? What we're
Mhm.
thinking is that what people like myself think is that religion has managed to take advantage of these needs and desires that desire for meaning, desire for purpose, desire for community, desire for a sense of belonging, a desire for significance, right? And desire for awe, desires for inspiration. These are natural desires that we have, and religion has used that as a sugar coating for something else that is spreading. What we think is that in these atheistic countries that you mentioned, and all studies shows that these countries without religion are some of the most happiest ones in the world, is that they managed to figure out how to provide those services without all the toxic stuff that religion comes with, right? So we never said that you don't. I haven't seen anybody suggesting that we don't need these institutions. In fact, part of getting rid of religion is to separate these services from religion.
Right. The thing about it is though that the religion is the lowest cost institution. Religion is a lot less cost than a universal healthcare system. So my question is, if you're going to provide existential security through religion or existential security through universal healthcare, it's going to be a lot harder to build the institution of universal healthcare. So a lot of atheists will say, tear down the religion, without thinking about the fact that, well, if you don't have a universal healthcare system, you're really doing these people a
What
disservice.
do you mean
And
universal healthcare system? How's that? How's that? Are you
well,
just yeah?
I'm just saying that universal healthcare is an institution that provides existential security. I'm assuming we agree there.
Yes, but
So
how's that ties into religion?
So if the ultimate goal of humanity is to get existential security, set meaning aside for a second because there is that component. But just people want to meet their security needs. They want to feel safe.
Right.
If you live in a nation that has a universal healthcare system, that provides some sense of safety. You know, if anything happens to you, there is this institution you can turn to that is going to help you in that health crisis, correct?
Okay.
If you don't live in a society that is a functioning universal healthcare system, you don't have that existential security, and you will look for that existential security elsewhere. Religion is the least expensive way to find that existential security. Religious people will feel comforted by that. I know you and I won't feel comforted by that because we think it's not a real existential security, right?
Mm. So,
But
I mean, the example that you suggest. Okay, first of all,
let me just say this real
okay.
quick. I am just saying that in the Nordic countries where atheism is high, it is high because these other institutions have come in and
Mhm.
displaced religion.
That's what we want, though. That's what we're advocating for. We're not
Well,
suggesting.
aren't you advocating for the destruction of religious institutions, though?
Well, the thing is that they come hand in hand. The thing is that the reason why it's hard to provide these services is because religion has a monopoly over these, right? So
No citation needed on that.
the religion has a monopoly over.
Well,
So
you're making a causal argument that because people are
no,
religious, they are incapable of building a universal healthcare system.
no. Well, okay. This is pretty obvious in markets, right? When you have a service like the people that are providing the 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 desire for community, desire for speaking to these needs, for a sense of belonging, for they even have monopoly over morality, like So when these organizations are not only taxed, they also have certain advantages over private businesses. That means that it becomes very hard to compete with them, right? It becomes very
Mhm.
hard. So whenever this whole if I feel alone, if I want to have somebody to speak to me, you could get that in a church or in a mosque or whatever, right? And these organizations are there, and it's very easy for them to grow so fast because they have a competitive advantage over other kinds of businesses that might have been able to offer these services. The problem is that these other services, if they were given a better opportunity to compete with religious organizations, it would have been done from a more scientific perspective. It would have come. It would be more results oriented. Like it would be based on actually studying what works and what doesn't work. Like what if I find out that I'm gay and I go to a church, I might not be getting the best response from the pastor. Telling me that this is a sin and I shouldn't be acting on it. If there were other services competing with my church, and it was as readily available and as common, or if I went to if these communities were subsidized or tax exempt, or spread as far as wide as these religious organizations, I mean, I would have rather had these communities be based on the latest understanding of human psychology rather than the Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy that was written two fucking thousand years ago, right? Like whoever is running and managing these organizations, they don't have the motivations and also the skill set and the knowledge required to be able to provide. And the fact that these desires are there, the fact that nobody, I mean, I'm not denying that, right? The fact that the reason why religion exists is because we need these things, right? Nobody's denying that. We just think religion because has managed to create barriers against against competition, um, to the services that it provides, competition that probably would have been much better than what is being offered by religion.
It's difficult for me to, I'm not sure I'm fully understanding the argument that you're making, and I don't know that what the evidence is to show that
The
because
evidence that
people
they
are
have it,
religious.
the evidence that they have an unfair advantage when it comes to being tax exempt, or in many other countries to being, enforced by
Yeah,
law. So,
it's kind of conflating two arguments, though.
right,
I mean,
whatever.
are you saying that because religious institutions are tax exempt, that's what's preventing people
Tax
from
exempt
secular institutions to replace them? I mean,
Tax exempt is just one of the many reasons why they have a competitive advantage, right? They have, the fact that even many atheists think that if you're religious, you're probably moral, right? That sense that religion has something. Okay, so in some countries there's tax exempt. In many countries, even the politicians, give them advantages in the market. In some many countries, including United States, there are many religious lobbying groups. In other countries, it goes more extreme. Even like it's actually the laws of the religion are forced upon the whole country, right? So,
mhm.
tax exempt is just one of the examples that we could think of, more than anything else, because in the West. But there are many reasons why religion has an unfair advantage in providing these kind of services. And I'm saying that given that I think me and you agree that whatever the source material is on how to respond to these kind of needs is outdated. I think if the competition was a little bit more fair, other places would have reached those countries that you mentioned as an example much earlier, right? If there was a fair
So you're
competition.
making the argument that religion is standing in the way of developing secular institutions.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, obviously we can find areas in the world where that's taking place. I don't I don't know that it's in the United States religion is standing in the way of achieving universal health care. It seems more like a political battle.
But your universal healthcare is just an example, right? It's not. You're not suggesting that as a.
Well, I am saying that atheists make this argument. Anti-theists make this argument that we can see the Nordic countries don't need religion, therefore we know religion is not necessary. And I think what they're ignoring is existential security is what's necessary. And if you have existential security from secular institutions, then yes, religion is not
Yeah,
necessary.
I agree with you
But
on
if
that.
you don't, but if you don't have existential security for uh, from secular institutions, then people will use religion as a way
No,
to get existential
but what
security.
I'm suggesting is that because this is such an important need, if you remove religion, that need will be very promptly filled in by private companies or even public companies. You know what I
And
mean?
I completely disagree. I mean, obviously this is context dependent, but
Right.
if you remove religion in some poor third world country where where it's just physically impossible, or they're being oppressed by a dictator. I mean,
No.
isn't North Korea a secular society?
No, it's very religious actually. But if you, but okay. So you think that in a religious country, if you remove religion, very, then the whole country is going to fall apart. Is that what you're suggesting?
Potentially. I mean, religion evolved to facilitate group level cooperation. So,
But the thing is that if you look at, so you're if you look at people in these religious countries, right, most of the time, they're not referring to religion for their day-to-day activity, right? I mean, they're not thinking like, should I lie or should I betray my friend, because, or they're not referring to like, well, I'm a Muslim, let me think what Islam says to me, right? Most of the time when somebody says, okay, well, I'm a Muslim, let me say what Islam says, the outcome is not very good. When you even people in very religious countries, when they're acting on their day-to-day life, religion doesn't cross their mind that often, right? You have, so for example, in a country like Iran, where I'm from, you have people that call themselves Muslim, but if you watch them throughout the day, there's nothing they do that makes them seem like they're Muslim, right? And then you have or nothing they say or do or think about, and then unless there's Ramadan, and then you can't stop at and then you have so you have three groups of people. You have the anti-religious people, you have the people that say they're Muslim but they don't do anything that makes them look like they're Muslim, and then you have people that practice Islam. They're minimal Muslims, right? So they pray 5 times. They will in Shia Islam is kind of 3 because they cheat, but so 5 times a day. They fast during Ramadan, and that's about it. Okay, praying is kind of like brushing their teeth. It's not something, even while they're praying, they're not thinking about God, right? Other than that, throughout their day, they're just living, thinking about their careers, thinking about their children's grades, thinking about if they have the right clothes for this party or not, right? And then actually you have a fourth group, which is a very fringe, tiny group, which takes Islam very seriously and constantly thinks about whether what they're doing is Islamic or not, right? But the two groups, the majority that are nominal Muslims and minimal Muslims, the nominal Muslims are the ones that are just Muslim by name, and the minimal Muslims are the people that just do the minimal activity Islam requires, and other than that, they don't think about Islam. These people's moral decision throughout their life is not really influenced by religion all that much. Their lives is influenced by religion because the government and the whole country is run by religious rules, but they don't think about religion that much. And also, if you look at these countries, there's a large growing anti-religion activism within these countries that are growing as well. And I mean, when you see people, individuals, even in the most religious countries, right, in Philippines or in Iran or in Saudi Arabia, when they make the shift from being very religious to being anti-religious, you don't see them all of a sudden lose all meaning and purpose and belonging and all of that. In fact, sometimes they find this a new group. It's very easy for them to, most of them at least, to make that switch and go to, find a new community, a new group of people, a new sense of purpose, right? I mean,
so, some people will inevitably be able to do that. I mean, you and I have both done that. I'm just saying, I'm not sure that all people will be able to do that.
Yeah, well, okay, but the thing is that if again, that's religion's fault, right? If we had more opportunity, if religion wasn't such a giant monopoly all over the fucking planet, I think there would be so many alternatives. I mean, do you really think the free market would just stand by and people wanting to have these desires and not come up with a solution for this? Like, this is what capitalism does. This is what when the people want something and need something, it just jumps in there, and there would be somebody who like, hey, I have the degrees, I have the experience, I could offer that. It would be there right away. I really don't know how do you think the fabric of the whole society is going to fall apart.
I don't know. That my position is really, we don't know. I mean, there is some data on this. Jonathan Haidt cites some studies that are based on secular communes versus religious communes, and the secular communes tend to fall apart after 2 years, and the religious communes tend to last 7 to 20 years. So, I mean, if you want to think of a commune as a microcosm of society.
Sorry, can you say that? Can you repeat that? I'm getting. I was looking at the live chat, but go on. Sorry, repeat that again.
You got to turn that live chat off, bro.
Yeah.
The I mean, Haidt cites some evidence looking at secular communes versus religious communes, and the secular communes don't last very long. It's very difficult to construct a commune based on reason,
Right.
and it's
Well,
a lot easier to.
it doesn't have to be based on reason. It could be. I mean, it could. Reason is not the goal; it's the tool, right? What you do is based on what people. What you base it based on people's, uh, you know. And the good thing about doing it separate from religion is that you could do it based. You could do many different communes based on whatever speaks to different groups of people, right? You
Well,
don't
they've
have
done
to.
that. That's a study that I'm citing.
s- Say it again. Go.
These secular communes
Hmm.
last about 2 years, and the religious communes last far longer.
Well, I can tell you that we built a Atheist Republic community and it's lasted 13 years so far.
Right, but
And
you're
it's
not living together.
what?
Like comparing a
Wait,
Facebook group to a
wait. Are you talking about
commune is
commune as in like people living right next to each other?
yes, yeah,
So what?
exactly.
So
So you're looking at these as a microcosm of society. These people separate from society and they function with their own
no,
ethic, their
we
own
have.
ethos.
So wait, because we have local chapters in every major city where people get together.
Right, right. But I mean, I don't know I mean, first of all, it's anecdotal evidence. And second of all, I
Okay, but
don't,
okay, it's not that anecdotal because we have many groups all across the planet, and it's been
right. But what is your control group? What are you comparing it to?
right. Okay.
Like you like maybe these religious Facebook pages last 7 times as long as any of the atheist ones.
All right, but
You don't,
here's the
you
thing.
can't make a fair
Why them
comparison.
lasting longer
The
doesn't? Here's the thing. Okay, so
the social norms that they
it doesn't even
implement.
have to be an anti-religious thing, right? Like you could be joining so non-religious groups or communities, right? For example,
Mhm.
I could be an animal rights activist. I could be joining groups because I like salsa dancing. All right, I could join a group of people that
Are you
are
in a salsa dancing group? Be honest.
no, but you could be like people could join together because they like I don't know board games or because they like Game of Thrones fans and they come and write fan fiction about Harry Potter, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you could and the thing is okay 2 years fine you could be interested in Harry Potter for 2 years and you could move on and be like I'm into something else now. There's another community for that, and maybe that
Right.
community is somebody joins their community, somebody leaves their community. I'm just saying there's many opportunities for us to find community and like-minded people and enjoy each other's company and find purpose, find meaningful goals, and sometimes not very meaningful goals because we want to be entertained, right? Sometimes we get with a group and we go to another country, and
The,
we yeah go on.
it's really though it's the community that's going to show up at your bedside when you're dying of cancer in the hospital. That's the community that matters though. Like I don't know that the Harry Potter community is going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I'm
right.
serious. I said this on a live stream the other day, and
Well,
it
actually, I
really
have.
rings true.
Here's the thing. Okay, my mom died from cancer, right?
Okay.
And when she got cancer, um, I was in Canada and she was in Iran. And I couldn't go see her because if I went to see her in Iran, I would get executed because of Atheist Republic, because of the book Why There Is No God, the book that I wrote, right?
That's horrible, and I
Right.
feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, but here's what she did. She said, "I'm not gonna die without seeing my son." Okay,
Hmm.
so the doctor said you can't leave the hospital. She said, "I don't give a shit. I'm going to Vancouver." Right. So she
Hmm.
came to Vancouver, and soon after she got here, she died because she left the hospital. But
Well, I'm glad you got to see her, man.
Yeah, she was happy too because she didn't want to. She was happy to that her whole family was around her when she died, right? But she was also happy that she wasn't in Iran because she was so fucking sick and tired of the people that were praying to her, people that were coming with the Quran and having the prayers, having this constant imams and stuff. And when she was dying in Canada, she made my dad promise her that when she dies, in Islam, when you die, they have this religious ceremony for you, and then they do another one 40 days after you die. And she said that I don't know, I do not want that, right? I do not want that, and you do not let anybody do that for me. And there was 3 attempts for people to do this for her after she died. And my dad, because he promised her, he made sure none of them go through, right? And she made it clear that on her gravestone she doesn't want anything religious written on it, right? Like God, oh, she's in heaven or anything like that, right? So the you I don't you keep when you mention people being on your bedside, for every story that you could give me on people, um, people feeling, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of community because of religion. I can give you 100 stories of people this is minor, right? My mom being and not wanting people praying over her deathbed is minor, but I could give you 100 example of people that their lives have been ruined, people that feel ashamed, people that have been ostracized, people that have been discriminated against, people that have been made feel to be less than the people around them, people that still believe in their religion, but they think that there's something wrong with them, people that think that they are inadequate, people that think that the people that are gay, and they think that who they love and who they are is something to be ashamed of, something disgusting, right? People, other religious minority groups that are discriminated against, Shias that are discriminated against in Sunni countries, Sunnis that are discriminated against in Shia countries. There's so much harm. I acknowledge that yes, there are these things that religion speaks to, but I think given all the harm that religion comes with, we can do so much better. We can do so much better than religion.
Then do it.
Well, we're trying. We're trying. That's what
Well, that's
yeah. And
that's.
part of that is fighting
I mean,
religion.
but I don't believe that. And I think I am wary of becoming the people that we fight against. Like,
We're not fighting against people, though.
yeah, we are though. I thank goodness we live in a nation where, well, you're in Canada, I'm in America, but thank goodness we live in nations where religious freedom is at the top of our priority list. So I think demonizing I don't condone them demonizing us as much as I don't condone us demonizing them. And everything that you said, I completely agree with that I don't think people should be ashamed for being who they are. But we live we're thankfully we live in Western democracies where you can leave that community and join another community that's more accepting of who you are. But I don't think I think when you demonize their community, they're more inclined to demonize our community, and that's not good for either community. We need to cultivate an ethic of.
Who said anything about demonizing their community?
Well, you just said everything in that community is toxic. I don't know how you can say
No,
that that's not
no.
demonizing.
Okay, you're talking. I hope you know the difference between attacking people and their ideas, right? The thing is,
Yeah, I think I don't accept that you can separate people from their ideas.
well,
People's
yeah.
ideas are part of their identity. Everyone is in an
All right,
uproar over Jordan Peterson.
let me give you an example, right? Let's say like you had you signed up with this insurance company, okay, and
Mhm.
your house caught fire, and you went to collect your insurance money, and you found out this whole thing was a scam. These people are never going to pay up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now your friend is signing up with the same insurance company, and you're going up to him and tell him, hey, don't sign
You're
up
going
with
to
them.
demonize that insurance company is what you're going to do.
Yeah,
You're
but
going to
are
say
you
those-
demonizing your friend
the
because...
people-
Okay, no. That's my point. You're going to demonize the insurance company, right? But are you
Right.
because your friend believes that this is a good company to go with, is you telling him,
If
don't
your
sign up?
friend,
Wait,
if
let me
your
finish.
friend then
Let
signs
me
up with
finish.
that insurance company, your friendship is going to be at stake because you're going to say, "Hey, I told you that insurance company was a scam, and you signed up with them. What? You don't believe me? You don't trust me? You don't think I'm a good friend?"
You think if I go tell my friend that, hey, you think that's a good insurance company, but no, it's a scam. Are you
Right.
demonizing your friend by saying that to him?
If you tell your friend that you are signed up with an insurance company that are scammers, you are going to be telling your friend you are going to be insulting your friend because your friend is going to
So,
want to
if,
believe that this insurance company is not a scam.
okay, so you have a very loose definition of demonizing then.
Well,
Bec-
You're first of all, you cannot separate people's beliefs from like people's beliefs become their identity. One of the reasons why a
we
lot of
don't.
people don't like Jordan Peterson is because Jordan Peterson in the Matt Dillahunty debate said there are atheists that think they're atheists. Like Jordan Peterson made an argument that there are no true atheists, and atheists' heads exploded over it because he challenged their identity. Maybe he's just attacking their ideas, but I don't know why people are so upset when he's just saying like, you
I'm not.
act out an ethos that's a Christian ethos. You
I'm not
you
going to
might as well
speak
call
for.
yourself a Christian.
I'm not going to speak for other atheists unless they're here to
Mhm.
defend themselves. But here's the thing. So yes, religion. Not all ideas. Religion has managed to do a very good job in pretending that it's part of your identity, right? This doesn't
Mhm.
happen with other ideas, right? If you can see a capitalist and a socialist economist arguing against each other's positions without the capitalist thinking that this is part of their identity and the socialist thinking that socialism is part of their identity, right? But the thing about religion is that because it doesn't have that much logical arguments to back it up, it's a very genius defense mechanism for it to become part of your identity. So attacking it will become attacking the person. So therefore you demand protection against attacks on your ideas by claiming that it's an attack on your identity. So I
If
agree. I agree that it has done that, but the solution is for us to be able to, when we're talking to religious people, is to try to separate that, right? And
what is your goal in talking to religious people though? It's to deconvert them, right? It's to
well, no,
pry them out of
no, there's different levels, right? So the
I
first
just to put a bow on the topic. If you attack feminism, you're attacking feminists. If you attack
no,
capitalism, you're attacking capitalists. If
no.
you attack socialism, you're attacking socialists. I mean, that's just how it
So you
goes.
basically any disagreement will become an attack then, based on that finish.
If you're attacking an ideology that's a part of someone's identity, you're attacking that person.
Well, that's
That's
what we're trying to do. We're trying to separate that from ideas from their identity.
I don't think that you can do that though.
I have successfully.
Well, just because you've done it successfully, those cases could be outliers. It doesn't mean that you can do it society wide.
Yeah, but okay, but
I mean, you can teach a dog to jump through hoops of
but
fire,
this
right?
has
You
worked
can't. You may
so
not be able to teach every dog to jump through hoops of
no, but
fire.
this has worked so well, so well. I just think I just have to be able to scale it somehow. So no,
Well, in order to scale it, though, you have to change human nature, and I don't know that you
but
can
there's
do that.
nothing. Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I tell Muslims, for example, right? I tell them like, look, if Islam is right, I will burn in hell forever, right?
Mhm.
And if Islam is right, atheism is a very dangerous ideology. It's dangerous not for Muslims, it's dangerous to atheists because it's the atheist that's going to burn in hell, right? So as a Muslim, if Islam is right, it makes moral sense for you to fight atheism, right? And fighting atheism in that case would not be because you hate atheists. Fighting atheism in that case would be because you care for atheists. You're fighting atheism because you don't want to see them burning in hell, right?
Right.
So I'm basically in this example, I'm saying you're fighting atheism for the sake of the atheists. You're not fighting atheism because you're fighting atheists. You're fighting atheism because you care for atheists, right? And
Superficially though, but you understand that people have a reason, people have stated reasons for doing things, and they have unconscious reasons for doing things, correct?
okay, yeah.
You understand? So I would say that the unconscious reason they're doing it is much different than the stated reason.
Yeah, but so I agree that there are many Muslims that when they're trying to convert atheists or other people is to just win, is but my example was not to say that this is the main reason. My example to show them an example of a kind Muslim that is possible, right? For somebody
Hmm.
to fight an idea, not because it's fighting the people that believe in the ideas, but because the person cares for the people that believe in those ideas, right? So this
Right.
is another example to show them that this is the main reason why Muslims are converting, trying to spread Islam, right? But just to
Hmm.
show that it's a possibility, right? Obviously, from our side as well, if an atheist is talking to a Muslim, maybe it doesn't care about the Muslim. Maybe it's just trying to be like, you're an idiot. I'm smarter. I defeated you. I destroyed your arguments. Haha. Like, look, this is like now it's gonna go viral because you're an idiot, and I showed how. Because maybe that was the motivation, right? Or maybe the
Hmm.
motivation is Islam is dangerous. Islam is a harmful ideology, and the people that it harms the most is Muslims themselves. So I'm against Islam because of what it does to Muslims, right? That
That's your motivation.
one of my many motivations.
Okay.
Right. But when you're saying what the goal is, there's a initial goal before even getting to converting people out of their religion, which is I think is a noble cause. Uh, Before even that, it's just to get people is to normalize atheism, right?
What makes you say it's, well, normalizing atheism? If a community has an ethic that, love the stranger, love the outsider, then atheism is not a problem. And then any religion is not a problem. The freedom of religion in the United States, I'm not sure if the United States was the first nation to adopt that, but adopting that as an ethic is huge. And I want to make a distinction too, because you're talking about Islam, and I don't really feel qualified to speak on Islam as much as I feel qualified to speak on Christianity, because I grew up as a Christian. And I think it's important to note, and even Sam Harris notes this, that not all ethical systems are the same. Ethical systems evolve to become adapted to the environment that this environment, both social and physical, that they evolved in.
Right. So you're not defending all religions. You're only defending Christianity.
My understanding of Islam, and I could be wrong about this, I'm still working out my ideas, is that Islam is specifically adapted to an honor culture. And in America, we have what sociologists call a dignity culture, which is much different than an honor culture. So if you take a person that's Islamic and put them into a dignity culture, the ethical system inside the religion and the ethical system inside the secular culture, I think, are at odds with one another. I think Christianity, since Christianity evolved in concert with the dignity culture that evolved in the West, I think those two, the ethical system inside of Christianity is adapted to a dignity culture. Even one of the memes in Christianity is
Can you
to
give an
turn the other,
example?
well, one of the memes in Christianity is to turn the other cheek, right? To, or not turn the other cheek, but to, there's the Good Samaritan story where you're supposed to be kind to the stranger, respectful of the stranger. And you can't really get a multicultural society off the ground unless you have that ethic in the wider culture. And I don't know that there is a similar ethic in Islam that allows that multicultural idea to get off the ground. I mean, America being a nation of immigrants, as they say, is using that ethic inside of Christianity to further the goals of the dignity culture, to further the goals of a culture where we can have freedom of religion.
Well, I don't think I think the main reason why Islam is way more problematic is because if you look at the teachings of Islam, I mean, is if you look at Muhammad's life, Muhammad got to live both as a prosecuted figure and also as a as a ruler, right?
Mhm.
So, and if you summarize, and I know this is a very simple summary, but if you summarize Islam as following the sayings and whatever Muhammad did. I mean, I'm including Quran in that as well because the Quran was not written by God. But if you follow the sayings of Muhammad and and the way he lived, and if you summarize Christianity as the way what Jesus said and how Jesus lived, then Jesus, started, the character of Jesus, whatever of it is real or not doesn't matter. The character of Jesus and the character of Muhammad, if you compare them, Jesus basically started a rebellion against the religious authority of his time, and was
Mhm.
defeated and crucified for it. And Muhammad also raised a rebellion against the religious authorities of his time, and he was successful, and he got to rule over people. So if you look at the teachings, Jesus' story doesn't have, if you're following Jesus' way, there is no there's no part of his story where he ruled over people. So you don't have instructions for that. But if you look at the story of Muhammad, there's a big period of his story that he ruled over people. So you have a lot of instructions for that, and that's what makes Islam a much more political religion than Christianity, and that's why it's a lot more. You have a lot more instructions to do on what to do with other people, right?
It,
Uh,
the and normally our human intuitions are geared towards kill the stranger. Like evolution has geared our intuitions very tribally.
right.
Culture comes in and meddles with those intuitions. Okay, it can either meddle with them positively or negatively. What I am saying is the culture can come in and turn down those tribal intuitions to kill the stranger and turn them into respect the stranger. There is a mechanism that you can point to in Christianity that does that. I don't know what would be the mechanism in
By the way, this.
Islam that does that.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. Okay, so this identity is saying it's built on dignity culture and not honor culture? Question mark. Bull fucking shit. Punishment for blasphemy is worse than honor culture is. Okay, so he's
No,
basically he's saying thou shalt not have any gods before me. He's talking in Christianity. He's referring to that, and also
mhm.
this identity is saying, please ask him what can be achieved with religion, that can't be achieved without religion. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a common tactic of many anti-theists. If I mean, in the Bible, you can pull any ethic you want out of
Yeah.
the Bible,
Right.
right? And Sam Harris does this all the time. He says you can go to a
But that's the
cookbook and
that's
pull
the
out any.
that's the problem with
Well,
it.
it is a problem and it is a solution. If you look at the fact that we might need any ethic in our toolbox, we don't.
We don't we
The
don't
difference
need
is
any
what.
ethic. We don't need to put a book that talks about
So are you, hold
killing.
on, are you saying you said we don't need any ethic? Are you saying we don't need ethics?
No, I'm saying we don't need all. You say we need any ethic. I think like there are some ethical rules that we don't need.
Yeah, I agree.
So
In our
a book that
intuitions,
you could get shitty ethics out of we can get rid of that. We could have a better book that you could only get useful ethics out of.
but we have the bottleneck is to get people to adopt the book, to get to people to
Yeah, and
accept the
religion
book.
stands in that way for us to be able to get people to adopt
I
those other
don't
books.
I don't understand this, and this came up in the debate with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. If you develop, we live in a, like you said, in the West, there's a huge marketplace of ideas. Um, Mormonism was a religion that started up. He the Mormon ethic he put
So
out there. People adopted it, and now there's Mormons all over the
okay,
place.
so
I
for
don't understand why secular humanists can't develop an ethic that people want to flock to, like they
all
wanted
right,
to flock to
so
Mormonism.
okay, so aren't you? First of all, I'm not saying we can't. All right, we are right. Second of all, there. What I'm saying is that even in the U.S., religion gets a competitive advantage that should not be there. Third of all, aren't you a little bit? Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't you correcting a little bit because at one point you're saying anti-theists are against religion, and at the same time you're saying in a free market of ideas should be able to compete with each other, right? So us going against religion is part of that, is us competing. That's the process that you're talking about. Like you're saying you
Yeah,
don't
but there's
understand.
two ways. There's two ways to compete with people. There's the drive the competitors out of business method, and there is the produce a better product
How
and
are
the
we even
customers
close
come
to
to you.
driving? Have you seen the mega churches and the and the
Well,
mosques, and
even
how
even
are we even
even in
driving?
advertising, even in advertising, there's two ways that you can advertise. If you're Coke, you can come out and say Pepsi stinks, or you can come out and say Coke is the best. And what I see the anti-theist community doing is coming out and saying Pepsi stinks. Instead of producing their own ethic and saying our ethic is the best, come to us, we have all the answers. All they do is sit around and point at other people's ethical systems
Okay,
and say you
can I,
suck.
can I give you another example? So you say Coke and Pepsi, right? But what if there
Mhm.
was a third drink that had actual poison in it? Okay, would the
You, you're doing it. You're doing it right now.
I
Let's
know.
say Pepsi has poison in it.
All
Okay,
right.
you're
In
saying
that case,
Pepsi is poison.
not only
That is your advertising campaign.
yeah, but what if it's true? Does that matter?
What if it is true?
Should
That's
we not should we not call
I
out? Should we not go out and say that there's poison in this fucking drink?
Okay, let's follow this thought experiment to its logical conclusion. Yes. And then we should inspect Pepsi for poison,
Right.
right? But
Right.
that analysis is going to be a scientific analysis. I don't see anyone, the people that I see doing the scientific analysis are people like Jonathan Haidt and David Sloan Wilson, and they're coming back with the conclusion that
You
no,
need it.
Pepsi's
Okay,
just fine.
let me get this clear. You need a scientific analysis for me to tell you that a religion that teaches you that you should beat your wife if she's not obedient, that's poisonous. You need a scientific analysis to be convinced of
Yes.
that.
Yes. First of all, I don't condone violence, okay? And
Good.
if religion is driving people to violent acts and there is a causal connection, I am completely on your side. The I don't know that that is the case. And I mean, I had an interaction with someone recently in my comment section that was talking about mental anguish. So if you want to compare wife beating to mental anguish, I think we have some category errors going on here, and also it's just in any business there are costs, so you have to do an accurate cost benefit analysis before you can say that religion is all bad.
No, okay. The problem with religion is that it's not all bad. If it was all bad, we would have been able to get rid of it faster,
Correct.
right? The
Correct.
thing is that those so-called good parts are the PR front, the warm fuzzy
you're, you're
What?
you're totally, oh man,
What?
it's you're straw manning it all the way.
What? Okay, tell me how I'm
You say the
strongmanning it because
so-called
the ethics, the good parts of religion was there
the
before.
so-called good parts.
Yeah, the so-called good parts of religion
You
was.
know what that says? There are no good parts. If they're the so-called good parts, they're not really the good parts because you're saying they're the so-called good parts.
Well, what I'm saying it was they were better and more. Okay, so for example, right?
If hold on, let's hypothetically,
Let me
let's
finish that
say,
thought though.
okay, go ahead, go
So,
ahead.
so like for example, look at the so-called good parts of the Bible, right? Uh,
Dude,
the
it's hilarious.
thou shall not kill, respect your parents, right? Uh,
Those are not so-called good parts, okay? Those are good parts.
those are horrible. Let me tell you why. Uh, First of all, because first of all, you have to read the whole thing, right? For example, the part that says that you have to respect your parents. It also says that if you don't respect your parents, you should be stoned to death, right? Or like, for example, when the Quran says killing one man is like killing all of humanity, right? People are like, oh wow, so look how anti-violent the Quran is. It's saying if you kill one man, it's like killing all of humanity, right? The thing is that, first of all, it's not like that at all. Killing one man is not as bad as killing all of humanity. Killing all of humanity is fucking worse, right? So logic fell right there. Second of all, the very next verse tells you to crucify whoever spreads corruption on earth, and never tells you what it means by spreading corruption on earth. So you could define that whatever the way you want. You could be like anybody that is. I'm probably spreading corruption on earth based on that verse, right?
I definitely know that you are. That's
All right.
that's a
So
fact.
so but is okay, and also the Bible that says thou shalt not kill is also the same book that tells you to kill witches, kill gay people, right? So kill
Yeah.
blasphemers. So and so that aside, also these thou shalt not kill, even if it was just that, without actually a book within the same book that has so many commandments for killing, even if it was just that, even if it was just the good part, it's so like compare that to all the great philosophers and thinkers that came before the Bible, all the Greek
Mhm.
philosophers, and the way that they the ethic the amount of analysis and logic and thinking that went behind what they decided what's ethical, the amount of just go read any of their work. I mean, this Bible was not introducing something new. This was a step. This was a simplistic, warm, fuzzy bullshit, feel good message there that doesn't serve any purpose. Do you really think people before the Bible were thinking like, yeah, killing is a-okay, and then all of a sudden the Bible came and the people were like, oh, okay, maybe we shouldn't be killing people. People were discussing ethics and morality thousands of years before the Bible in much more advanced ways, right? This is not. It didn't add anything. In fact, what it did, it managed to convince people that it has it's not only it has good messages in it. It convinced people that it's the only source of ethics. It convinced people that you either believe in the Bible or you're immoral, right? And by doing that, it became a cover for all the other nonsense and harmful bullshit that is in there. So when I'm saying that the good parts are actually the problem, is because if you look at other ideologies that didn't have this nonsense, warm, fuzzy, feely, simplistic messages around it, that were just pure evil, right? They die out. They don't survive much long, right? So the fact that a meme this destructive managed to survive this long is because it has managed to convince people that it's actually a source of good and not evil. And that's why, yeah, right, I'm gonna stop.
Let me try another analogy here,
Right.
because I think I mean, I think first of all, I think there's a lot of agreement between us.
I think so too.
There are terrible things in the Bible. I don't know anything about the Quran, but I'm just going to assume
Hmm.
that there are terrible things in there too.
Right. You
So
could, yeah. Your
if
assumption
we
is
think
correct. Okay.
if we think of these books as the basis of an ethical system, inside our book, we can think of our book like a toolbox, okay? And it has all these different tools that we can pull out of the toolbox. And the goal of our ethical system is to increase, to build a good society, right? Where people get along, people have, they're motivated to achieve all the things you want from a good society, right?
Mm.
Now, in that toolbox, we've got guns and we've got rape. We've got all sorts of really bad things in that toolbox, but we've also got some really good things in that toolbox too, right? We've got love your neighbor. We've got turn the other cheek.
Love.
We've
Okay, but
got
those
forgive.
examples are not very good. First of all, why
No, I'm
should?
just hold on. Let me
Okay.
finish my example,
Okay. Okay.
okay? I'm not. We're in a total agreement that there's terrible tools in
No,
that
but I'm
toolbox.
I'm
Okay?
also have a problem with love your
You-
neighbor and turn the other cheek.
Okay, so you don't like those tools. I'm just saying there
Okay.
are
Okay.
all kinds of tools in there,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
You can pull the culture teaches people to pull certain tools from the toolbox and to leave other tools in the toolbox. So we really have to look at the people that are using the toolbox and not just focus on the toolbox, because I see a lot of the anti-theists saying, oh, there's terrible tools in there that people can grab. And a lot of the pragmatists are saying, well, as long as you're not grabbing those tools and they're grabbing good tools and producing a good society.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
That's a very
It,
good example. I'm going to use it.
it's a good,
I'm going to use your
uh,
toolbox example. Can I?
okay. So, but listen, there is a thing that came up in the debate between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. And Sam Harris seems to believe that we don't need the toolbox, that we can form our own ethic without any tools at all. And anything that you want to accomplish, you're going to need tools for. I don't know how you
I
can,
don't know if you
like,
said that, but yeah, you need toolbox. I just think your toolbox shouldn't be religion. Um, obviously, you
well,
need to.
what is the other, like, let's
En-
think of something,
enlightenment
let's think of
values.
one
There you go.
ethic. Let's think of one ethic that we need,
Hmm.
that just so we can agree on one tool that is in the theoretical toolbox that we want to
I
create.
think
Is it
enlightenment values.
honesty? Is it, I mean,
Enlightenment values. We could get into that.
what is an
But
enlightenment value?
can I use your toolbox analogy actually for a second?
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's say you have a toolbox that has good things in it and you have bad things in it, right? And
Mhm.
people, and there's lots of destructive things in it. But the thing is that the people that are using the toolbox, they're not bad people, and obviously given that they are opening this toolbox and they're like, oh wow, what is that bullshit? I'm not going to touch that. That's horrible, right? And I'm just going to and they're going to pick up the good parts. That means that the toolbox itself is not the source of uh, their judgment. They're getting this judgment from somewhere else, obviously, right? Because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
toolbox is not dictating what. So
Right.
so
The
their moral.
toolbox is saying take this tool or
Right.
else.
So the moral standards is coming from somewhere, and it's not the toolbox, right? So we have to
Yeah.
figure out where this is because that source is a very valuable source. Second of all,
Well,
the prob
I think
no
I know
let,
where that
let, let
source
me
is,
let,
though.
let me continue with the toolbox, right? The problem is that a lot of good people come and they go to this toolbox and they get good stuff and they're like, okay, I'm gonna use the good parts, and because they're living good lives and using the toolbox, then I come around and I'm the toolbox seller, right? And we're like,
Mhm.
look at all these great people, look at all these good people. They all using my toolbox and they're living great lives. That means this is a holy toolbox, and you should use it, all of it. Everything in this toolbox is great, right? And my proof for why this toolbox should be followed and why this toolbox is holy and why this toolbox is 100% great is all these good people that are using the toolbox. Even though they're not using everything in the toolbox, I'm using them as a way to tell you that this toolbox is perfect, right? And
Right.
now I'm putting this, when I give this toolbox and put it in a position of authority, now this becomes a dangerous thing because now I'm spreading the idea that anything that comes out of this toolbox is good. And you shouldn't use anything other than what you get out of this toolbox, and you should use everything that is in this toolbox, right? What I'm suggesting is that instead of, given that many people figure out which part is good and which part is bad, let's have a toolbox that doesn't have the shitty parts in it, and in fact, it has a lot more good stuff in it, so that we don't give this guy that is selling shitty ideas more business.
They, what's the guy that came up with the Book of Mormon? I can't remember his name. Joseph.
Oh,
I
fuck.
almost said Joseph. What is it?
God damn it.
Well, I'm just saying there was a
Adam.
guy back in the 1800s, I think it was, that wrote a book called the Book of Mormon. That he was his revelation from God, and he came out with a new toolbox,
Joseph
right?
Smith. Joseph Smith, yeah.
Joseph Smith,
Yeah,
right?
I can't believe I
So
forgot that.
he came out with a new toolbox, and he went to the open market with his toolbox, and people bought the toolbox. You are in a position to come up with I agree with you. Like, make the best toolbox that doesn't have any
Well,
of the bad tools in it, only the good
you keep
tools.
you saying okay. You're saying I have to do that, but people before me have done that, and
Hmm.
it's spreading. Okay, the Enlightenment values. Here, actually, let me show you something. So you're saying offer something, right? The
Right.
Enlightenment era in Europe brought to us these standards, these better ethics, these better standards, and they work. And they have worked perfectly and significantly, and they have changed lives. And if you want to see proof for that, just check out this book, okay, by Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now. All right, so
I've read it.
Okay, so you know that the ideas that were introduced in Enlightenment era, which was, guess what? It was a movement against religion, right? Against religion, against dogma, for better ideas. It was a movement not to change Christianity. It was a movement against Christianity, right? And the thing is that those ideas are being used, are spreading, and have saved a lot of people's lives and made a lot of people's experiences and happiness and everything better all around the world. The thing that we haven't been, the genius of religion is that they managed to come, and now they're taking credit for all that shit, right? Even though they had nothing to do with it.
They'll do that.
Right, they do that. So what we haven't done is that we have used these new values and these better values, the values that we have, we have shown to, scientifically, it's been proven that they work. It's been proven that they're superior, but we haven't done a good job to show people that where these ideas are coming from, and how we got here, and how much their lives have gotten better because of it. And religion has seen that there's a major competition to it, so they made a clever move and saying like, hey, this was always Christian ideas. Like the interesting thing is that Islam does that as well, but only when it feels like it's being threatened. Always when it feels like it's being outcompeted, what they do is, instead of fighting those ideas, they're like, hey, those were our ideas. And the dangerous thing with that is that people forget easily. So when you see a Muslim that is fighting for gay rights, that is fighting for women rights, that is fighting for secularism, that is fighting for democracy. This is what Christians do. This is what I've seen with Muslims as well. It's like they come and point to that Muslim and they're like, look, Islam could be pro-gay rights. Islam could be pro-secularism. Islam could be pro-democracy. Islam could be pro-women's rights. And this is what they're doing with the Enlightenment values as well. They look at these individuals and try to give credit to an ideology that deserves no credit for it, because it was the individual that. What I say is that a Muslim is more than just a Muslim. A Christian is more than just a Christian. When you see a Muslim do a good thing, when you see a Christian do a good thing, don't give that credit to an ideology that has always been against these values. Give the credit to the Muslim. Give the credit to a Christian. See, if you see a Muslim that
Can we focus on just one Enlightenment value for a specific example? Because you keep saying Enlightenment values, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know. You read the book. You don't know what Enlightenment values are? Like, there are many of them.
I know them in the abstract, but I couldn't, like, they haven't been put into some kind of narrative form,
right,
that I think everyone agrees
well
upon.
most of the values that are considered Western values that we celebrate are actually Enlightenment values and come from Enlightenment thinkers, like freedom of speech, due process.
So just focusing on freedom of speech,
right?
Could it be possible that this ethic of freedom of speech could be being facilitated in some part by Christianity, because Christianity has the ethic of respect the stranger, and you need a little bit of that respect the stranger just to be able to listen to the stranger's ideas without wanting to pick up a rock and hit him in the head?
Isn't that a stretch, though?
Well, I don't know. I don't know why it would be a stretch. I'm just saying.
I mean, well, if that's the case, then you could also say that thou shalt not worship other gods. It would be also the message against that. It would be a message of intolerance to other people's religions.
True, but we go back to the analogy of the toolbox, and it really depends upon what tools people are taking
exactly.
out of
But what I'm saying,
there are contradictory tools in the box. Right?
Yeah, I'm just saying you can have better boxes. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Right. You want to take all the contradictions out of the box. You want your toolbox to only have Enlightenment values. You want to take you made the perfect analogy right here when you said don't have any false gods is antithetical to love the stranger, right?
Okay.
So you want to take the one that supports free speech or the one that doesn't support free speech out of the
Why do
box.
we even need the book? And what I'm saying, like
We,
you
how
don't.
are so if you don't need the
If I
toolbox,
if I if I
how are
if
you gonna accomplish your goals? How are
no,
you gonna what is the
I'm just saying there
mechanism
are other
for instilling
toolboxes.
your ethics?
I'm saying there are other toolboxes that
What
has
and what
already.
and what are they? Specifics.
Well, enlightenment values. Is one of the great examples. Or
Okay.
you ask for one
How do
value
you
out of
get the
it, but
enlightenment values into the children?
oh, we already have. We
So
already
they
have.
you're saying enlightenment values
No,
are
the thing
already
is that okay. Here's the thing. We don't. The thing is that the good thing about these values, and not just enlightenment, any values that actually work, is that they're so good at working that they spread because there's a demand for them. What we haven't, that has already happened. Like your life and my life is so much better because of enlightenment values. The problem is that what we haven't done successfully is to show people where these values are coming from. So you're worried about spreading the values at work. We are already way past that. My
Mhm.
concern is that a lot of people think that these values come from places that they actually don't. And
Okay, so where do they come from?
well, enlightenment thinkers, people that came up with ideas in competition to religion, better ideas than religion.
How do you get people to act out an ethic of free speech? Because right now on campus, I just watched a debate that there's a
That's a,
free speech
that's a
crisis.
very
People
short
would
term.
rather.
If you look, okay, so that's like if you look at how far we've come when it comes to free speech, this is a
Mhm.
very small change in a much bigger trend.
The
The fact that you
ethic,
live, the fact that
the
you even have
intuitive
a fucking,
ethic.
okay, the fact that you even have a constitution that guarantees freedom of speech, you have no idea how unique historic. I mean, but I mean, no,
I
no,
do know how
I
very
know
unique.
but I'm saying most people don't know how unique and
But
historically
you
rare that is.
understand.
This is
Do you
coming. This is has. I mean, I'm jealous of you. We don't have that in Canada. Okay,
Yeah,
we
do
don't
you
have that in
understand
Europe.
that that's culture, that is culture changing the natural intuitions of people?
Where did
The
that come from?
natural,
This value for free
natural
speech.
intuitions, the natural intuitions of people are
Right.
when somebody says something I don't like, I
It,
pick up a rock and hit them in the head.
it's not
That is the natural intuitions of people. Culture comes in
the.
and shapes those natural intuitions in different ways. So if you have a constitution that respects freedom of speech, that's fine. We're saying that that's the rule, but you still have to instill that ethic into people because if the people don't like that rule, they can change that rule from the
Okay,
bottom up.
the fact that okay. So look at countries like Iran, where I come from. Okay, we don't have
Yeah.
freedom of speech, and this is like a 7,000 year country. Okay,
What
you
happens what happens in Iran when someone doesn't like when the guy actually does pick up the rock and hit him in the head? Just out of curiosity.
what?
Because I'd never been to Iran. Do people do that?
No, no. I just okay. I don't know what you're asking, but can I get?
I'm asking if they just go with their gut intuitions and they have blasphemy laws in Iran, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But why do they have blasphemy laws? I'm
Because
assuming they serve a purpose. People don't usually make laws that serve no purpose.
well, okay. So it's the difference between the survival of the meme versus the survival of the individual. The thing is that the meme sometimes some ideas become popularized not because it serves the individual, but because it serves the survival of the meme, right? So,
I don't believe
but
in that though, Brett.
okay, we could get back to that. But what was I saying? I was just saying something important.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You were gonna tell me about this toolbox
No, I
that
was
you're
gonna say
putting in the
something more
market.
important. What did you do? Um, okay. So okay, the fact that your country is a baby country, okay? It's a
We're
right.
all babies over here.
Yeah, you're a baby country. You're
We're
not very.
all
You're already you don't have much history, okay?
If we're a baby country, you guys are still in the womb. Are you kidding me?
No, what I'm saying is like, look
Like
how
when was
far.
Canada founded? I
Okay.
think it was like
Yeah, yeah.
we were
Canada,
1776.
Canada
I
is
think we
also a
went
baby
like
country. Canada is also a
1982.
baby country. But I'm saying that look at Canada and United States and look how fast certain ideas spread. It's
Yeah, but a good idea will spread. Yes.
exactly, but not because it's because they spread because they're useful. Okay?
You're making my argument though, because the secular humanist manifesto isn't in hotels from coast to coast. That idea has not spread.
No, but my point is that people ideas spread because they're useful, not because people have this emotional attachment to them, right? These ideas
Well,
spread. Uh,
that's a useful thing. That people
right.
have an emotional attachment to useful ideas.
But my point is that the fact that enlightenment value ideas, them spreading, even though people don't, many people think they come from Christianity or somewhere else, shows that you, the usefulness is so much that it has managed to spread even without a good PR strategy. You understand?
Hmm.
But I'm saying now we need to get the PR strategy for this enlightenment value as well, because I think if people actually do understand where these values come from, they stop giving credit to an ideology like religion where they don't deserve the credit. That's all my point is. And here's another thing. One thing.
Why do you need if it's a good product though? Why do you need a PR strategy?
Well, because a lot of people that don't appreciate where the source is keep giving resources to sources of bad ideas, and
Right.
keep giving the extra advantage, like keep electing politicians, keep donating, keep giving money to these sources of bad ideas because they think they actually deserve credit for anything good, which they don't.
Right. Okay.
Right. But
I'm a little confused, but
another thing that I want
continue.
to point is that you when you say that, oh, why are we us anti-theists, you know, are so attacking religion so much? I just want to put this in perspective, because all we're doing is talking to people. Like it's uh, when people come at us anti-theists and they're like, oh, you're so anti-religious, you're so triggered, you're so intolerant of other, you don't let people believe what they want, and they're like, we're just talking to them, right? Like they're talking to us about why Islam is true, and we're talking to them about, or why Christianity is true, and we're just telling them why we think it's bullshit, and they tell us why atheism is bullshit, which we support their right to do, and all we're doing is telling them why Christianity is bullshit or why Islam is bullshit. There's the fact that people see that as hostile is amazing to me, because many many Muslims and Christians that I debate against not only not see it as hostile, they welcome it. Not only they welcome it, they think they had a great time participating in it. So
I think it goes both ways though, because I know atheist heads exploded when Jordan Peterson said that they're not really atheists, which is the same thing as saying atheists are bullshit.
right, but did their head explode because they were because it was wrong, or because I mean, you could. Here's the thing: I noticed both sides do this, not just atheists, Muslims, Christians, left, right. This whole new triggered thing is now it becomes a defense thing. Now, as soon as anybody, like when you say something and somebody opposes to it or disagrees with it, they are like, "Oh, did you get triggered?" Like I'm just responding to your
No,
argument.
I agree with you completely.
I
It's
mean,
like it's like
what am I? Okay, so you just want me to
toughen
not?
up for heaven's sakes.
I mean, but yeah, but okay. So triggered. What does that mean? Like, triggered means if you get emotion, if you have no arguments and you just get emotionally upset about something, and that's your only reaction, then I think that could be classified as triggered. But if somebody is just, if I say something that somebody considers stupid, and they call me out on it and tell me why I'm being an idiot, I don't think they're triggered. I think they're responding to my argument. You know what I mean? Like I think that's
Oh
fair.
no, I'm triggered, man. I don't like it. No,
But
obviously I'm playing with you, but and we're
yeah.
having a friendly conversation here.
No, no.
I agree with you, but when you say I understand why religious people think when you say that they're the leading ethos, where they get their sense of community, their sense of meaning, their sense of identity. When you say that's all bullshit, I understand how that offends them. It's the same thing with feminists, though. When you say feminism is bullshit, they're just as up in arms. Social justice warriors. When you say
Well,
social
okay.
justice is bullshit,
So
or when you
feminism is a good
say
example, actually, because feminism. So what I notice with feminism is that
feminism is bullshit, by the way. Just
actually, here's I disagree with you, because when I go to feminist circles, I notice that most of them are not these crazy people that get a lot more attention than, most of the community are not like anti-male crazy feminazis, right? I think what No, they're not. I think what I've noticed, you have to go inside their communities to see that, because when you're
right,
outside of their
right,
community, the crazies are the most interesting ones and they're the loudest ones. Obviously, if
right.
somebody comes and says, "Yeah, I'm a feminist, but I'm just for women's rights and equality," obviously, I'm not, I'm not like one of those feminazis. We're like, okay, that's boring. Who's going to cover that? Nobody's going to cover that, right? But if somebody comes and says like, "Oh, all men are needs to be,
I know.
executed," that's
Kill all
interesting.
men,
So yeah, so the
but
thing is,
kill all men is in the
again, but the
toolbox,
thing
right?
is that historically feminism has benefited both men and women, and now they're going through a nightmare PR scenario because of the amount of attention and how loud some fringe groups are. And I think like what I criticize feminism for now is not those values that they've been advocating for, but now just like Enlightenment values, feminism is part of, by the way, Enlightenment values. But what I criticize them for is now they don't have good PR, and this damages that movement, because now they're going through such horrible branding. It's going to hurt the movement. So this is why I care about the branding of Enlightenment values. This is why I want people to know where all these good ideas come from, because if you take the credit away from it, then people are not going to fund and support Enlightenment values. They do deserve your support and attention, because so many lives have been saved by it. Again, everybody, I think this should be like it be left in every hotel instead of the Bible, because this shows you where everything we enjoy society, where it comes from, right? Did you enjoy this book, by the way, Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker? You say you read that?
Yeah, I loved it. The last chapter though is super in the liberal bubble, which is surprising for Steven Pinker.
Right. Oh, one thing I want to talk about, you said metaphorical truth. Do you agree that um, believing more true things than not is, on average, better? Like
On
believing it less
on
bullshit.
average, I would say yes, but whether those two things are aligned is a point of contention. I mean, that is the debate.
So
That
you
is the
believe
next question.
it's useful to if a bullshit is useful, spread it.
Let's let's look at it in terms of placebos. If you if you've exhausted all your options and placebo is the only option left, I think taking that option is the rational thing to do. And we may be in a situation where religion is like the super placebo.
Here's an example I give when it comes to the power of truth versus nonsense, right? Because a lot of people say, like, there might be some utility in things that are not true. Um, uh, the example I give is this doctor that comes and to a village and notices that there's a disease spreading in the village, right?
Mhm.
And she comes up with this medicine for the villagers, and she knows that this is working, and she's trying to sell it. She needs the money to be able to make more of it, so she has to charge a price for it. But she's selling it, and nobody's buying it. Nobody believes that this is going to work. So she comes up with the story, and she says, on my way to this village, these fairies in the forest met me, and they gave me this potion, and they told me it will work. And all of a sudden, people are lining up and they're buying their medicine. And guess what? She cures a lot of people, and she eradicates this disease from the village, even though she was lying, right? So you might
Right.
come up to this example and be like, okay, this was a lie, this was nonsense, but it helped people. It helped people survive, right? So
That's metaphorical truth right
that's
there. You just
okay.
laid it out perfectly.
But here's the problem with it. She leaves the village, okay? She leaves the village, and all of a sudden people are like showing up everywhere now, and people are like filling bottles with water, and they're like, guess what, I also met fairies in the forest and they gave me this, and now they're selling empty bottles of just water, and they're charging shitload of money for it, and everybody has a story, and now people are coming up with more interesting story. This fairy came to me and sat down with me and showed me how, what this makes you give a better sex drive, and this and that, and now all of a sudden there's an industry around this whole fairy potion industry in this village, and people are making shitload of money for it, and a lot of good people that made that earn their money through hard work are losing their money because of this con that this doctor spread. And now it actually gets worse. Let's say somebody comes and starts putting a drug in these, because this guy that is raising an army and he wants people to be obedient, and he starts putting.
This is the longest hypothetical ever.
I know, but it makes my point. But now it basically is taking advantage of people like that. Now this guy is spreading poison by convincing people that this is from fairies. But my point is this: if this doctor, when she came here, if she, instead of just coming up with a fairy story, right, from in the short term, if she actually set up like a classroom, or if we invested long term in educating people to see how medicine works, where does the disease come from, why does this work? In the short term, you might have thought like, okay, the fairy story works more, right? But what I'm saying, the power of truth and the power of good ideas in the long term have much higher return on your investment than the short-term games. Yeah. I do know that.
Well,
because
you believe that, and that's the contentious
so
part.
this is the claim, and I don't think this is a very extraordinary claim. The claim is that the utility on believing in things that are close to reality is much higher than much higher than the utility of believing in things that are not based on reality. And that's my claim.
What we began with at the beginning. I know this. We began the stream, and I told you that you're trying to elevate factual truth as the highest level, and you've just laid it out perfectly. You're saying that knowing true things about the world will create more well-being than pretending we know true things and acting in certain ways that belie that we don't actually believe true things. And I don't know that those two things aren't inversely correlated.
Okay. So
obviously you created an example where you win, but I could easily create an example where I win.
Right. So that's the claim, but I really think it's a pretty obvious claim. I mean,
they all seem obvious. The theist will come on this stream and tell us both, it's obvious that God exists, and why don't we just go with it?
I mean, if I'm trying to find water, and I have a map that is doesn't match the reality on the ground, obviously I'm not going to get to it. Like, obviously, if my belief system doesn't match reality, if my idea of how the world works, how my mind works, where we came from, what our purpose is all of that is based on nonsense, based on ancient ideas, it's based on dogma, based on superstition. On average, you're going to get less positive responses than if your belief system matches reality.
But if you believe that if you go around talking smack about your neighbors, that a lightning bolt is going to come and strike you dead, you're less likely to go around talking smack about your neighbors, and that might be good for society.
Well, but I'm saying spreading bullshit in the long term is not good for society, because if you think that that's actually a good example.
Lightning bolt.
So yeah, that might only get you not talking shit about your neighbors, but it has a lot more complications. If your belief system allows for somebody in the sky to hit people with lightning bolts, then you might have saved neighbors, but you have introduced something way worse, right? You have introduced an idea that allows for, like, imagine how far this person's views are from reality, and you don't think the complications of having a belief system like that is not worse than just not being able to talk shit about your neighbors? I mean, we have seen this. We know that this is the case. I don't know, but anyways, yeah.
You do acknowledge that, though, that there are truths like that that are helpful. I mean, the whole
I've
religion evolves as
don't
an
ca- I, d- I'm,
effective.
I have a problem with calling them metaphorical truths because they're not true, right? It's kind of like alternative facts. You call them
Right.
alternative facts because they're not fact. You call them alternative medicine because it's not medicine. So
It's
metaphorical truth.
It's Brett Weinstein's
I know.
term.
I don't like the
So
term. You could I prefer to even if it's real, maybe call it useful bullshit.
yeah, I figured you were going to use that one. I've heard that term as well.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the PR is not really great on that.
Most Muslims and Christians I talk to, when I talk to them, and before I start criticizing their religion, I think this is the method that I suggest to people is for you to explain where you're coming from and why you, even if they think you're attacking their ideas, is seen as an attack on on them personally. You don't intend. That's not your intention, right? And
Do you see how it can be perceived, though, if you say what you believe is bullshit, that it could seem like a personal attack?
yeah, of course. And the point is that you have to convince people that it's not a personal attack. And I've seen it work, and
Well,
I
why
know it
not
works
just not say that?
because ideas deserve to be attacked. Ideas should be attacked. I mean,
Okay.
here's the thing. I have many views, and I'm sure there's a lot of bullshit in there. And I don't know which one of them are bullshit because if I knew them, it wouldn't be my ideas anymore, right?
Mhm.
So I want my ideas to be attacked because I don't think me alone is going to be good enough to figure out what's bullshit, which one of my views are right and which one of my views are incorrect.
Okay, so
I need
here's
other people to attack my ideas so I can constantly reevaluate them. I appreciate the people that attack my views. And I think we need to create this understanding that your ideas being attacked is good for you because you reevaluating your belief system is good for you.
so the positive claim that I see anti-theists making that I am attacking is this idea that the world would be a better place without religion. You believe in that idea, right?
Yes.
But that is a claim that we don't necessarily know the truth value of yet, the scientific truth value, just so we
Okay.
don't get mixed
So
up.
the solution to that is for you to attack that idea that I have. Isn't that?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Well, that's so, and I welcome that, right? So
Yeah.
if I don't see you attacking that position of me personally, why can't we teach that? Why can't we show that when we are attacking Islam, Christianity, or any other ideas, you shouldn't take that personally. In fact, that's good. You should welcome that because ideas deserve to be attacked. In fact, when ideas are attacked, people aren't.
There are ideas though that unite communities, and people get sensitive about when people attack the idea that actually unites a community because it endangers the community.
What?
Like if you said racism doesn't exist, then the social justice community doesn't need to exist.
Well, okay. So the solution to that is what? If I'm attacking a value that is valuable, for example, if you come and attack enlightenment values, right? The solution
Mhm.
to that is to attack back, challenge the people
Well, we're
in a
gonna.
marketplace of ideas, challenge it back, right? Why is that's the solution? And here's another point I want to make. It, when we're shitting on other people's ideas, right? We are doing
Mhm.
it in our environments. People that see our content, people that hear our content, people that read our content are looking for our content.
Mhm.
It's never the case that we're not going into inside people's mosques or inside churches and telling you're all idiots, your God is a fucking lie, right? If we do that, they should kick us out. That's their platform, that's their environment, right? We're either
Mhm.
invited to their platform, we're either invited to their place of worship or whatever when we're talking to them, or they're coming to us. So this idea of people are sensitive so don't attack their ideas doesn't make sense when we are just putting ideas out there and the people that are finding it are are people that are curious enough to come and find it.
Yeah,
We're not forcing these ideas on them, but yeah.
I don't mind the attacking of ideas. What bothers me more than anything is the conflation of scientific values and atheist values, because I think that I think a lot of religious people can be good science
There's no
people.
such thing as atheist values, though. We're not.
Well,
These are completely separate things. Atheism is nothing other than a lack of belief in God.
That's why I'm talking about anti-theist values.
Right.
Is really what I'm talking about. The idea that the world would be a better place without religion. Hey, I should go soon.
Okay, but I'm just going to say one last thing. The idea that the world would be a better place without religion is nothing other than saying the world would be a better place if more people believed in factual things rather than nonsense. It's not just religion.
Yeah, but that's an open question, though.
Yep.
There's a scientific
But
answer
it's not
to
just
that.
religion, all nonsense, what I'm saying. If more people believed in their belief system was based on reality rather than nonsense, the world would be a better place. It's not, religion is not a unique thing. Any kind of nonsense. Right. All right.
I'm super curious about that question.
Okay.
And for me, it's an open question. You obviously believe that that's the truth, but I don't necessarily know.
All right.
I'm in a citation needed mode on that one, and that's one of the reasons why I like having these conversations.
The citation, we're in a hypothesis discussion right now, not in a theory mode. So the citation part of this is that it's really hard to study this thing, right? So this is the difference between deductive and inductive reasoning. So we're not actually, when it comes to when you don't have enough data to analyze something, you go analyze it based on logical analysis of something based on what you know, right? But obviously I agree with you that you can't know for certain unless you have such data, right? But without data, you could still come up with a hypothesis and see how logical they are, because there are many other if you're waiting, because there's no specific data on this, neither you or me can make any claim on this. Like you can't 100% be sure that it would be that if we get rid of religion, there would be any consequences. And I can't be 100% sure that without religion, the world, it's not about 100% certain. We're just basically
yeah.
Okay.
You're trying for probability. That's probably a good place to end. Like I said, I should go. So
right,
I don't know how you want to wrap this up. Do you want
to? But I'm just going to apologize to the people in the live chat, Christy Beach, because I didn't ignore your comments. Because if I was reading your comments, I wouldn't be able to listen. But you guys, thank you so much for making this, because your comments are helpful because they're going to be on the video for people to read while listening to this. So thank you so much, and I'm going to release this on a podcast as well. And where can people find you?
I have two channels. I have a Think Club channel and I have Adam Friended channel, and I'm going to mirror this later today or tomorrow on my Friended channel. So
and we forgot to mention Richard Dawkins and Brett Weinstein are going to be discussing the evolutionary. I think they're going to be discussing the evolutionary utility of religion, and this is basically the most famous anti-theist out there, with one of the most famous atheists that sees utility in religion on stage. So go look at that up in pangbirdphilosophy.com. So
do you know when that is? I think it's October.
October 23rd. Are you gonna come?
No, it's in Vancouver, right? I'm in Los Angeles.
It's not in Vancouver. It's in the U.S. It's in Chicago.
Oh yeah, Chicago. That's it. No, I'm not gonna. But I'm definitely. So I am a patron for Pangburn, so I can see that when it comes out.
Right, but yeah. So this is called Richard Dawkins and Brett Weinstein Evolution. And they disagree. So Richard Dawkins would be on my side, Brett Weinstein would be on your side on this topic.
I know. I can't wait.
And these are, both of them know evolution inside and out. So they're going to talk about religion and the utility of it from an evolutionary perspective. So this is going to be amazing. So if you enjoyed this discussion, go check that out. Yeah.
So when Brett Weinstein destroys Richard Dawkins, are we gonna have another one of these talks?
We can have a review. Do you want to do a review of it?
We should. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'll be the whole time. I'll be like destroyed. You're gonna be like destroyed.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, this was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna log off now and let you say your goodbyes to your stream.
All right, sounds good. No, I'm gonna log off now as well. Thank you everybody in the live stream, and thank you Adam, and look forward to seeing your other video. Your videos are great, by the way. I watch most of them, so check them out.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, and your the documentary that you did, people should check that out too. That's really good.
Oh, thank you. All
It's on
right,
the Pangburn channel.
all right.
Take care, everyone.